because it sounds like a cool time. Thank you for that. Now, we always have our guests come on the Splattercast, and we allow them to choose the film that we're going to be talking about on this particular Splattercast. Now, Joe, you actually came up with a film that none of us had actually heard of before. Now, what did you decide to choose for this evening's viewing pleasure?
It's a movie called The Pit. It's from 1981, and it's one of those movies that I've been a fan of since I was probably 14 years old. And I came across it one night on, I don't know if y'all remember this, but on TNT they used to have like midnight movies, like I think it was called Monster Vision or something like that. Yeah, with Joe Bob Briggs. And they played it on there one night, and I saw it and kind of fell in love with it. But I never knew what it was called for the longest time, and I guess it was probably about 10 years ago I got a job working in a video store, and I just came across it, accidentally. I, was going through watching everything in the horror section and put it on. I was like, this is that movie I saw back when I was 14. And I'm surprised it doesn't have a bigger following than it does, because it is a really interesting, kind of bizarre little movie.
It's an incredible movie.
Yeah, I can see this. I can see this having a cult following. It's that type of movie for sure.
And what's really cool about this selection
as a movie nerd, I'm surprised that more movie nerds don't know about it. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cool thing about this, is when I saw this movie for the first time, like I said, I'd never even heard of it before. And when I saw it, I was just sort of blown away by what I was watching. Because it's so bizarre. I mean, it's unbelievable. Joe, why don't you explain sort of the synopsis, or try to, what is the plot of The Pit?
Okay, well, it's... there's so much going on in the movie.
Yeah,
it's hard to get really some about, but it's basically, I think the kid has autism, and there's this kid who has autism, and he's kind of obsessed with getting a look at boobs. And for the first half of the movie, that's kind of all he's wanting to do. And at one point, he pretends to kidnap the librarian's daughter to get her to show him her boobs. Yeah. And through the course of the movie, he finds a hole in the ground that has trolls or some kind of monster in it.
Trolologs.
Trolologs. And through the advice of his possessed teddy bear, they decide that they're going to kill. They decide that they're going to kill everybody that makes fun of them. So they start to push old ladies and football players into the hole, and then accidentally his babysitter falls in, and Jamie decides that he can't take care of him anymore, so he decides to lower a rope down and lets them get out, and they wreak havoc on the town.
Yeah,
it's a great movie. Everybody should check it out.
I mean, there's so many angles, or threads here, and then they sort of bounce off against each other and don't really necessarily make sense, but they're all intriguing in their own right. They explicitly state a couple times at least. I mean, they make it clear that the guy is 12 years old. He's a young boy. He's 12, but he's doing these like sex pervert things that, I mean, I felt like is this legal for me to watch? Like, there's a scene towards the beginning where his parents are like going out of town for an extended period of time to look for they're moving out of town, and so they're shopping for a house in another city or something. So they have this full-time nanny, sort of babysitter, staying at their house to keep house and keep an eye on the kid. And like he instantly falls in love with her. He's got this screwed up inability to relate to people. Like everyone in town knows, oh, that's that weird kid. That's that freak.
That little girl is a total bitch to him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I couldn't wait. They're very cruel to
the bicycle girl.
The bicycle.
Everyone in town thinks he's a little freak, a little psycho that they're all pretty leery of.
Right.
And they're also very cruel to him. A lot of these people are. They're just like, one kid punches him in the face on the playground when he comes up to him and is like, "Hey, I'd like to be friends." The kid just belts him in the nose. This little girl is just evil to him. But so he's doing all these really, really pervy things. Like there's a scene where he's sitting in his babysitter's bedroom while she's asleep, staring at her, and her shirt's open, and they show in the movie they show the girl's breast. So, and it's this 12-year-old boy looking at that. He does this thing where he cuts out a picture of a nude woman, pastes it on a piece of paper, and pastes like a photograph of the librarian's head on top of that, and mails it to her or something. I mean, he's doing these really, really like deviant freaky, weird things. And it's this 12-year-old boy. It's very, very ooky and creepy and weird.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen anything like this.
There's one sequence where he's with his babysitter, and he has his babysitter like give him a bath, and they have this dialogue back and forth, and she's like, "Well, maybe should I do this?" He's like, "Oh, I'll be underneath the bubbles." And she's like, "Well, as long as you stay there." And she's washing the back of this 12-year-old boy in this bathtub, and he starts talking about how like his mom washes him all the time because he's dirty. So you get this weird like incest angle that's thrown in this.
And during the scene, he turns around and is like, "Do you like washing me?"
Yeah, oh, that is so creepy.
So he's got all that going on, but then also the other things that happen are he's talking to his teddy bear, and his teddy bear talks back. Now it's pretty clear that it's his own voice talking back to him through the teddy bear, but they do weird things. Like there's just one shot where, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but there's this one shot that makes you think for maybe a second like that there is a ghost or some weird shit in the teddy bear.
I think the implication is, because that's a big thing with, like, early on in the movie, I was trying to think, oh, this kid's crazy, he's just hearing his own voice, and then there is a shot which it's very, very clear this teddy bear is able to move on its own.
Yeah, because the kid's not even in the room, but the teddy bear's head turns.
Yeah.
You're just like, what? And then they never follow up on that.
Yeah, they never follow up. The teddy bear has my favorite line
best
in the movie.
Scene. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jeff. We're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, the teddy bear has the best line in the movie because he does this really twisted thing where he fakes a kidnapping and then he freaks out the librarian into stripping in front of her window.
That is weird.
He says that he's like going to kill the girl if she doesn't do this, so she doesn't. He takes some Polaroids of it. He takes the Polaroids back home and sets them up in front. He's looking at him with his teddy bear, and the teddy bear says. Steve, what's the teddy bear?
You're going to be looking at these a lot.
These a lot.
Joe got it. That's my favorite.
Something that I was wondering is like was the kid actually this 12-year-old boy? I'm assuming he was probably 12 or 13. He's obviously not of age when they were filming this, but I mean, were these chicks really just showing their junk just in front of him?
Because he walks into the bathroom and that chick is taking a shower.
Yeah,
because I mean, movie or not, if they put like a 12-year-old girl and like the girl, or they have a guy just flashing his junk, that's a sex crime.
Yeah, it's really weird.
If they're making a movie or not.
It makes you feel sort of gross when you're watching it, but not in
does.
like a Larry Clark kind of way, just in a weird, creepy kind of way.
So you have the kid himself is this sort of perverted, has these messed up understanding of sexuality and stuff, and then you also have the teddy bear, which you're not quite sure of, though you sort of maybe lean towards thinking that's just him talking to himself. But then is the pit, of course, the titular pit where he goes, and I never really, the way they present it, I never really believed that they weren't real. It seemed like they were always.
No, I think you have to assume just by the final third of the movie that these things are absolutely real, and the babysitter eventually sees them, and she kind of confirms that.
Yeah, you could have done this story where they were sort of in his head. They're like a metaphor for the issues inside his own head. But it's like a.
Well, that's what's great about the movie is it makes you think that it could be in his head.
Yeah.
See, when I first watched
the movie,
when I first watched it, I thought the trologs were in his head. Because you only ever saw him by himself with them. So I thought they were in his head until, because even the babysitter's like, oh, they're not real. And once he finally shows her, and she recognizes, like, whoa, this is like the greatest scientific discovery ever.
Yeah.
So it's like the kid is crazy, but at the same time, absolutely every weird thing that's happening to him that he sees is 100% true as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just a wild premise.
I've been monopolizing the time here and talking over Joe and stuff. Joe, how do you feel about the way they, once Jamie sort of loses his nut for sure and decides to start killing people, essentially, luring them to the pit and feeding them to the creatures that are down in there, and then after that he even goes so far as to let the creatures out, and so they go out and hurt people, and then the movie.